Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a fantastic Friday. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jessica Jurkan. I'm an aspiring author currently working on my debut novel, Boston's Vigilantes. I created my channel to document my self-publishing journey, to share my tips and tricks for writing, and to join the online writing community. So last week, I talked all about the beta reader process, more like in the perspective of a author. So after I posted that video, a couple of hours later, I got a private message on Twitter and someone asked me how to be a good beta reader because he's going to be a beta reader soon and he doesn't really know how to be a good one, especially since being a first-time beta reader isn't always the easiest thing because you're trying to help someone perfect their novel and they're giving you such a mostly intimate part of themselves and you want to help them to the best of your abilities. And I also thought of doing this topic because I've had a couple of beta readers who were absolutely the worst, and I've had amazing beta readers to whom I still talk to today. So I thought that maybe this video could help future beta readers. I thought that maybe this video could help first-time beta readers, and also beta readers who have been beta reading for a while, but who didn't necessarily realize that they aren't doing the most spectacular job that they can be. So the first thing to keep in mind is to be honest. Someone is giving you their book, especially their baby, that maybe they've spent years and years working on. And especially if this is the first time you're sending a novel to be beta read, it could be such a long and grueling period because maybe you sent them your novel or a batch of chapters and they're anxiously waiting for feedback, and you may be thinking, oh no, maybe she hated it, they didn't like it, I'm a novel writer. And those aren't really feelings anyone wants to experience. I know that I've went through that. I know people who have also went through that. So remember that your feedback needs to be honest. If there is something you don't understand or if you don't like, just let the author know, make a note and explain why. Or if you've read, say, 15 chapters and in those 15 chapters you didn't really dive into the story, you couldn't really connect with the characters and you don't enjoy reading it, just let the author know. That way they could replace you and you won't be forced to read a book and answer questions that the author has given you that maybe aren't that helpful because you don't really know what to write since you didn't really connect with the story. I mean, like any other piece of art, a novel is also kind of subjective, and maybe my favorite novel is a novel that you don't like, or vice versa. So don't feel pressured to just say you like a novel when you don't like it. If there are things that seem weird or characters that you feel like aren't kind of living up to a potential of somewhat, let the author know, because if you tell them, maybe there's another beta reader who has the same opinion, maybe there's another, and if many beta readers feel the same, that really helps the author, because if you keep your mouth shut and another person keeps your mouth shut, another one as well, and you all saying that it's good or that you like it, you're not helping the author, you're just doing him or her a huge disfavor. Number 2 is to be specific. So in my last video, I mentioned that if you are preparing a document for beta reading, you're going to need to have certain questions at the end. And as a beta reader, it is your job to answer them. So if you have an answer saying, was there a scene you hated? Or is there a character you don't like? And the answer is yes, tell the reasons, because if you just say, I didn't like him, it's not help. It really is. It's very, very, very vague. And it's a lot easier for you to just explain why. Maybe you don't like how the love interest treats the protagonist. Maybe you kind of find their relationship abusive. Let the author know. Be specific of what you don't like, even for things that you do like. Be specific. Let the author know what he or she is doing great, not just wrong. Because those more like in-depth answers, those are the things that really, really help. Number 3 is respect the deadline and author guidelines. So if, let's say, an author has 15 beta readers and they want to have the maybe first round of beta readers done with the novel in 2 months or a month and a half, if the author tells you to, manage to finish by the deadline. Don't keep the novel an extra month or 2 months, because I've had betas who I actually had 2 weeks ago a beta saying that he's almost done with the novel. Oh crap. Did you hear that? That is the snow falling off the roofs. It snowed here 2 days ago. And it's melting finally. But the person said that he's almost done with my novel. He's almost done with my novel, and I finished the beta process in May, and this was 2 weeks ago in January. 8 months over the deadline. And I actually forgot about that. I actually kind of thought that he isn't going to read it anymore because it's not really his thing. So if the author gives you one... Snow again, really? Just think of it as a essay for school. You have a deadline, you need to finish it. If you don't hand in the essay by the end of the deadline, most professors won't accept it anymore. You need to really stick to the deadline, because the author maybe has a timeline of when he or she wants to publish the book. And if you don't really respect the timeline, it's kind of a huge sign of disrespect toward the author and the time and energy that he and she may have invested in the novel. And this really goes to also hand in hand with respect the guidelines. So if the author told you that he's going to send everything in, that after every chapter or every batch of chapters, he or she wants to do a interview with you regarding those chapters, or they want to just get extra feedback from you, you need to respect what they ask of you. For example, if they also want to message you through Facebook and talk to you, don't be that beta that says, I want to chat through Twitter private messages. If the author wants to ask you questions through Facebook, you better make yourself a Facebook account if you don't have one already. Because imagine a author has 20 betas and they have a system in place of how to organize and how to interview a beta, and you want to change that. It's just going to annoy them, and it's just going to give the author headaches that they don't want, they don't need. Just do what the author tells you to. If you don't like deadlines, the guidelines, just quit. Do the author a favor, just quit. Hopefully they can find a replacement. If not, they won't waste your time with you, because it's really hard to organize many betas and the feedback and deadlines and guidelines for people not to respect them. It's just a huge waste of time for both parties. And number 4 is present all feedback in the positive manner, but don't sugarcoat it. And essentially what I'm saying, don't be mean, don't be rude. If you don't like something, give constructive criticism, because that is what a decent human being would do. But don't sugarcoat it too much. Don't just be nice for the sake of being nice. Be nice in a genuine manner. If you give feedback, be polite, but be honest, and don't worry about the author's feelings. If you don't like a character or a relationship between two of the characters, just let the author know. Just basically treat the author like you want to be treated, and try to make a connection with the author, because that is really how you're going to help the author the most, by finding a certain connection, and not it just not being a professional setting, a professional relationship. Because if the author is comfortable with you and you are comfortable with the author, the whole process is just going to go a lot smoother. Now, if you are an author, this is kind of number 5 for authors and writers. If you're a writer who is beta reading, try to also focus on things that could also help you improve with your novel, because you can always learn new things. You can always learn something even from writing. Even if you've been doing it all your life, you can always learn something new. And maybe even beta reading for someone can help you with that something new. And reach out and ask questions if you don't want, because this could also be improvements for both of you. And if you see that they are kind of struggling with maybe romance or fight scenes or friendships, if you're a writer and you do have some helpful tips, let them know, help them improve. And that is also the start of networking, which is one of the most important things, for a writer to network, to make other writer friends. Just put yourself out there. That is all that I have for this video. If you have any other tips for how to be a good beta reader, let them in the comments down below, because I would love to hear what you guys have to say. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because I post new videos every Fridays. If you want to read the first chapter of my novel, it's going to be in the link down below. I hope you guys have a nice Friday and a fantastic weekend. Bye!